Hey guys, welcome to Outdoor Tactics. My name is Robert, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Hoyt Torrex XT. I'm going to be talking a little bit about why I think that is the best value bow on the market right now. And by value, I don't mean that it's the cheapest or the most budget-friendly, but I think that you get the most performance and durability possible per dollar that you spend. So stick around, we're going to talk about it. So as with any review that I'm going to be doing from here on out, full disclosure about the companies that make the products that I'm reviewing, Hoyt does not know who I am, they do not know that I'm making this video, and they don't care that I bought one of their bows. I mean, I'm sure they're kind of happy that I did. However, I bought this bow with my own money 3 years ago, and I've been using it to hunt whitetails ever since, so that's 3 seasons total, and across most of Ohio and a little bit of West Virginia. So that's what my experience level is with this bow right now. So it's been my go-to for hunting and target shooting out past 70 yards. I'm not a competitive target shooter, but just like for fun and at the range locally. For the price that you spend, which MSRP is right here, it's a ton of value and performance coming from Hoyt. So let's get into exactly why that is. So we'll go ahead and just blitz through all the specs because those are things that you could have found on Hoyt's website by yourself, and I don't want to waste your time talking about all of them. So let's get into that really quickly. 336 FPS ATA rating, that is a fast bow. 30 inches axle to axle, which is a wonderful length for hunting. I don't go smaller than 28, and I don't go above 32 generally for me. I'm about 5'9", 175. So for me, my wingspan and my dimensions, I just prefer a 30-inch bow. This bow has a 6-inch brace height, which is a little bit short, a little less forgiving, but gives you a little bit more speed. Comes in at 4 pounds bare bow. That is right in the pocket for pretty much every mainstream bow coming out today. 25.5 to 31 inches of adjustable draw length. That's a big deal. It's going to fit a lot of shooters from ones that are smaller stature than me up to, you know, bigger guys that need that 31-inch draw. And it is adjustable from a 30 to 70 pound draw weight. Now that does require you to order different limbs from Hoyt, but when you place your order, you'll pretty much know what window you're operating in, and you can just get the right limbs directly from them. I've got my bow cranked to 72 pounds, maxing out those limbs, but I've also got aftermarket gas strings. Okay, so now we've gone over the actual physical traits of the bow. Let's talk about what it's like to shoot and own from an actual owner's perspective. So first thing I want to talk about is the shot cycle on the Torx XT, from draw to release, exactly how it feels and the pros and cons to it. Now, right up front, you'll notice that the Torx XT, if you go shoot it in your local shop, extremely smooth on the draw. Like I said, I shoot 72 pounds, and the draw stroke on it is so smooth that I was able to do that draw while this year's buck was actively looking at me, right? He was sort of busting me, not really, and I was able to draw slow enough not to spook him. And I was able to harvest that buck, luckily, and I'm very happy to have been able to do so. However, it just goes to show you that if you practice with your bow and your bow is set up in a cam design such as Hoyt's, which is a dual cam, and also a cam and a half system is what they've sort of coined it. Those cams are mated together with a harness that's going to make it easier to keep them in tune, and you're not going to have to retune your bow so much. But regardless, the bow draws very smoothly, and then as it rolls over, it's not an immediate drop off, which is wonderful. There's no like big thunk coming into the back wall, and also the back wall is somewhere between too stiff to where you're going to bounce off of it, and too soft to the point where I don't like it. It's actually just perfect for me. It's solid, as in when you pull back into it, you stop, right? It's got just enough sponginess, however, to allow me to articulate my wrist with my thumb release to get a very repeatable angle on that every time that I shoot the bow. That lends itself to accuracy, etc., etc. And the draw cycle on this bow is very, very good for me. Now, I did actually have the opportunity to compare the draw cycle on this bow to other high-end bows from Hoyt and other manufacturers. This is not a comparison video, so I'm not really going to name other brands and say this is better than that one and this one's better than this one. It's just I shot it next to some other companies and their flagship bows as well. Were other companies' flagship bows better than the Torx XT on the draw cycle, or just in the performance in general? Yeah, okay, that's why they cost double or more in price. Were they better to an extent to validate the purchase or the price? Not for me, no. I don't think they were. They were marginally better, 5 to 10% increase in smoothness of the overall draw cycle, and some of them were worse. Some of them had such stiff let off that it would bounce me off the back wall and like send my shoulder back ripping forward because I'm shooting like fairly heavy draw weight and it just rips me forward again. Some of that's just not being used to the bow, but having that as a trait of a bow in general is just not something I'm a huge fan of. So the Torx XT really checked the box for me there. Now I do shoot exclusively fixed blade broadheads. If you shoot mechanicals, cool, good for you. I hope they work extremely well. However, for me, I've actually got one right here. The Black Hornets from Magnus are absolutely wonderful. I shoot the 4-blade 125 grains, and I might be making a review coming out on this. If it's made already, it'll be up in the cards. If it's not made yet, well, then it's not in the cards because it doesn't exist yet. But rest assured, I will get to work on it right away. But one thing that you'll notice when you're shooting fixed blade broadheads is your bow needs to be in tune in order to fire them. Otherwise, as they're flying, they will catch air on one of those big fixed blades and it'll plane your arrow off into the sunset and you'll hit, I don't know, your neighbor's dog or something horrible. So to me, the tunability and the repeatable tuning on the Torx XT really shines because it shoots those fixed blade broadheads super well. I think I've only tuned this bow 3 times. One when I originally got it, 2 when I shot those strings in because there's a bit of string stretch and like break-in period, and then a 3rd time after the new strings were put on it. It holds its tune for very long, and it's very easy to tune at your local shop or in your garage if you've got the setup for it. So another important component of archery is the vibration at the shot. So it's going to feel like shock in your hand or in the palm of your hand or like a little bit of sting. It's very low on the Torx XT. However, when I did shoot it next to other flagship bows, I noticed that they had even less riser shock or vibration. Once I outfitted it with a stabilizer and a sight and a rest, it mostly all went away. And then along with low vibration and low sting in the palm of your hand is going to come low sound. This is also another trait of heavier arrows, which I like quite a bit. But when I shoot this bow next to other people at the range and my bow goes off and then their bow goes off, it's very easy to tell that one bow is louder than the other. Does it have to do with the overall design of the Torx, or is it because I've got a bunch of stuff crammed onto there and it's fully like every customizable slot is filled with some item? It's probably a mix of both. I think the design lends itself to be very quiet because when I shot it bare bow next to some others, there were some very loud bare bows, and I did notice that the Torx XT was among the quietest. So let's talk grip for a little while. Grip on the Hoyt lineup is mostly the same. If you like the way a Hoyt feels in your hand, then you're gonna like how the Torx XT feels in your hand. I love the grip angle on the Hoyts. They've got like customizable grip modules you can swap out for if you want to feel a little bit something different. But the stock grip for me is just fine. It's got like a hexagonal texturing, and I find that that helps me out a little bit in sort of indexing where I place my hand so that it's repeatable and the same every time, as well as my index fingers on the front of the grip. They're able to rest very freely without having to grip the bow tightly and introduce torque into my shot and hurt my repeatability and therefore accuracy. So accuracy on my end has been phenomenal. Now we all know that accuracy is mostly up to the shooter, and I'm not tooting my own horn saying that I'm a phenomenally accurate archer. I'm really like passable, right? That's about the level I would give myself, but I do shoot a lot of arrows. I do practice very often, pretty much year round. And what I've found is the Hoyt has not let me down once. Every time that I've missed a shot or something has felt wrong, it's been me. Like it's been the shooter's fault. I think that the Hoyt Torrex XT is going to outshoot most of us in just inherent accuracy potential, and I don't think I'm ever going to really reach the pinnacle of what the Torx can do. Your mileage may vary because we may be at different skill levels. You may get something way better out of it, or you may still be a little bit earlier on your archery journey and you're not quite ready to squeeze that type of accuracy out of it. So you might be wondering, hey, if this bow does all this stuff that you're saying and it's basically perfect, which is not, why does it not cost $2,000 like the flagship bows? That's a wonderful question. I actually asked myself the same question and it's been answered recently. The anodizing on the riser and the limbs is starting to sort of chip and flake, and that's from wear and tear. That's not from it sitting on the wall year round, which guilty, it is sitting on my wall right now. But I take this thing into the brush, into the swamps, into the woods and hunt with it. Like I don't baby it. You know, it rides around in the back of the truck, it gets beat up, I drag it through briars. A little bit of wear on the anodizing is not a huge deal for me. It makes sense, right? It's gonna be natural wear. I might hit it with a little bit of flat black spray paint in those spots just to keep the pitting and corrosion out. However, there is really no free lunch when it comes to this because you do need to understand that the components that your bow is made of, which means the aluminum for the riser and the limbs and your cam material and your strings and your servings and all of that stuff, it's going to be made a little bit cheaper, like a couple of grades cheaper than the ultra fancy flagship bows. That's just the nature of the beast. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. There is a big red subscribe button right below. It is free to subscribe. It's also free to unsubscribe in the future if you decide that you don't like it. Comment section down there is for discussion. If you think I missed something or you want to make any extra points about the Torx XT, that's the place to do it. And also we have a website, outdoortactics.com. It'll be linked in the description below as well. Hunting, fishing, hiking, I've got articles about all of that stuff and my experiences. Everything on there is written by me personally, and it's from experiences that I've had in real life and what I've learned from it. So I'm going to sign off for now. This has been Outdoor Tactics. This has been the Hoyt Torrex XT. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one.